Welcome to the Kindness Is podcast, where we take a deep dive into the true meaning of kindness. I'm your host, Kaitlin Johnstone, the co-founder of Kind Cotton. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, Kevin here. I know this is a change. Usually you hear from Kaitlin on these introductions, but this is a very special episode. It's actually a conversation that Kaitlin and I had while we were on vacation last week in Vancouver. Hope you guys enjoy it. I really don't get on the microphone much or on camera much, so I think this is a really unique and kind of like the first chance you get to hear from me, and hopefully the first of many. I think Kaitlin and I could do this type of thing on a more regular basis if you guys are enjoying it, whether it's on the podcast or on Instagram or another format. We can figure that out. I was a little bit nervous for this, and it's not my kind of thing at all. Obviously, I like to stay more behind the scenes and not talk so much. So this is new for me, and bear with us. Also, our audio wasn't very good for this. We didn't have any video because we were traveling, and the audio is a little shaky because I speak very quietly. Kaitlin talks a little more loudly, so it's hard to balance the two. But we'll call this a first trial run, and hopefully there'll be more like it, and you guys can get some more insight into kind of the day-to-day operations of Kind Cotton, maybe interesting from my perspective. And yeah, let us know if you're enjoying it and what else you would like to hear. Thanks.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Kindness Is pod. You know, I thought when I did a solo episode a couple of weeks ago that it was the most nervous that I would ever be on here. And now I'm interviewing my husband, who I have known for 14 years.
Wow.
Maybe. Has it been 14 years? 2009. You do math better than me.
No, you know better than me.
Yeah, 14 years. And I am feeling extremely awkward, but we're going to go for it. So today I have this pleasure of speaking with Kaitlin Johnstone. He's the co-founder of Kind Cotton, the man behind the scenes, the reason that essentially anything gets done with our business. Not only does he have amazing ideas, but he's the one who actually brings them to fruition. Aside from being an incredible business partner, he's a wonderful father and life partner. When he's not working on putting books into the hands of kids, he enjoys watching sports and Big Brother, playing golf, hiking, and losing at rock, paper, scissors. Did you like my bio?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you were going to ask me what you missed, I was planning on saying rock, paper, scissors, champion.
No. Stop. Are you serious?
Yes.
What are the chances? Okay, so I wrote Kev's bio because I was like, oh, hey, you didn't write your bio. And he was like, you didn't ask me, which is very typical of our relationship. So he had no idea what I had just wrote. So that's pretty funny.
It is.
We're on the same page.
Yep.
This is why Kind Cotton works. So is there anything that I actually left out that you would like to add?
No, I guess not. You got it pretty good.
Right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I summed you up pretty well.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about what you do with Kind Cotton, what Kind Cotton means to you, and then I also have some listener questions.
Wow, okay.
I know.
All right.
And I thought the first one, we'd go with something that someone asked, and that was, how did you all meet?
So we met in New York working for a minor league baseball team.
I mean, that's not the full story. You can give the people what they want.
So I got a first year out of college, I got a summer internship with the Hudson Valley Renegades, a local minor league team, and Kaitlin just happened to be working there, and I was an intern, and she worked there full time, and after games and stuff, people would go out, drink a little bit, party a little bit, because we were young, and we just started hanging out more and more, and then that's that.
AKA, he was my intern, and I illegally purchased beer for him prior to him being 21.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to say that part, but...
Yeah. And actually, the first night that we had kissed, is this too much? I don't know. It's typically like a PG podcast. But the first night that we had kissed, I had fallen into a ditch. Mm-hmm. And Kev helped me out. I know. Kev helped me out, and he was my knight in shining armor. And I'd argue to say that you still are today.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
So yeah, that is how we met. Very, very exciting stuff. But I want to know, do you remember when we first started talking about Kind Cotton?
I do remember like a scene in my mind of you like walking in from the garage in Florida into our kitchen and like talking about a business idea that I think turned into Kind Cotton, but that's really it. Like that just sticks into my mind as like the first time we had an idea of it. I don't even know, that could just be like a made up memory at this point and not really what happened, but as I remember it, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I definitely think that I came home to you and was like, hey, oh, something that I didn't mention is that Kev out after college had always worked in custom apparel. So
yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if you were going to kind of ask questions about my background, but yeah. That's probably a big part of my bio that you didn't talk about. Yeah.
I didn't mention anything about your past prior to Kind Cotton, and you had a very well-established career in the apparel field.
Yeah.
So when I came home to you saying, hey, like, let's start a clothing line, it wasn't like I was coming home to some random person who had no knowledge and background of what it took to run a successful clothing business.
Yeah, and especially with what I was doing at the time, it was such a small business that I was working for, and getting involved in every part of that business, I felt really comfortable in being able to do something like that on my own and knowing all the ins and outs of how to just start that from the ground up. So I think, yeah, it definitely made it more realistic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you knew everything. You did the marketing, you did the customer service, you knew how the clothes were manufactured, you worked with wholesalers, you worked with screen printers, like every single thing. It's funny because I get asked often, like, hey, Kaitlin, I'm starting my own small business. I'd love to know what you think of XYZ. And I'm like, I do social media and handle the educational aspect. Like, what you really want to do is talk to my husband. So anyone who may be listening to this, and if you ever want to know the ins and outs of running a small business, Kev is the person to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so, like, it sounds so easy when you think you have the knowledge of it. Like, at that time, doing what I did, I felt like comfortable in trying to start a business. But also, if you just took me tomorrow and said start a business, it is so overwhelming still, even knowing all the stuff that you know. Even just trying to repeat what we've done would be incredibly challenging. I think it's more of just like start moving in a direction, and little by little you just take it step by step and learn as you go, and like trial and error nonstop, and that's kind of how it grows and how it works out.
Is that what you would say your biggest piece of advice would be to someone starting their own thing? Just like, don't be afraid of failing, essentially?
A lot, yeah. I think a lot of people just get like an idea in their head and worry too much about the idea and making it perfect, and it's like paralysis by analysis or something. You just think about it so much that you don't ever do anything. The idea, I think, is just such a small aspect of it that can always probably be shifted and changed and modified as you go. It's just trying to move in a direction of moving in any direction is better than not moving at all, even if it's completely wrong. You can always change and adapt, and you learn. The growth you get from learning from your mistakes is so much more valuable than just thinking and not doing anything.
That's like my everyday life. Thinking and not doing anything.
Overthinking? You do stuff.
No, I know. But I think we both struggle with that. I mean,
I do.
You're talking to two people who will spend hours, and I think this is relatable to a lot of people, but we'll spend hours thinking about what to watch on television, and then we're like, oh, it's time to go to bed. And we've just been looking up various movies on Netflix.
And then just get depressed that you didn't do
Yeah, exactly. So what you're saying is, thank goodness you don't do that when it comes to Kind Cotton.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there's definite instances where we could do that more, we could have done that more, but yeah, we're still learning for sure.
Yeah. What's your biggest struggle?
With Kind Cotton? Probably not being aggressive enough. not taking more chances. Being ever since, even since day one, we've always taken it really slow, making sure that we didn't grow it too fast. I mean, some companies at our level, even years ago, would have thrown more money into it, and got investment, grew it, hired 20, 30 employees, open storefronts. Like, that's the way a real entrepreneur would probably think about it. But for us, it's always just been something we've wanted to do on our own. So, I mean, it also just depends on what you want. And I don't know that we've ever wanted to go to that extreme. But probably if there is like one thing that I struggle with, it's like being too conservative and not pushing to try to grow more. And maybe instead of 130,000 books right now, we'd be talking about 1.3 million books.
Yeah.
You know?
But there's something really special about the fact that it's all ours. Don't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's always been a concern whenever I think about what I just said, and like growing to that extent. There's a lot of tough things and challenges that come with that. And I don't know that we want to take all of that on. It becomes a lot. Even though it's stressful at times now, it probably, the bigger you get, the more stressful it gets potentially. And it's nice it's nice where we're at right now, where we have our own thing, and it can be somewhat flexible for us now that we're not packing. That was a huge hurdle to get over. Now that we're over that hurdle, we're at a nice point now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily just us anymore, because we do have people shipping, which has been huge. I mean, the fact that we are now at the end of a 2-week-long vacation in Canada.
We didn't even talk about that.
I know. Yeah, like we're sitting here in an Airbnb right now in Vancouver. I'm kind of thinking about how I don't really want to go back. And we've just been able to explore and take a vacation and also work anywhere in the world.
Somewhat, yeah. That part's been hard. It's been a struggle for me not being able to work as much.
Yeah.
Feeling like I'm losing control of things a little bit. But, it's something we never could have imagined a year ago. Considering every free moment we had, we were trying to pack orders and get them out. So that's a nice change and something we've worked really hard to get to this point for.
Yeah. I mean, I look back on those days, and we talk about this sometimes. I don't even remember how we did it. Like, that's how many orders we were packing in a day.
Yeah, I always think about how busy we are now, and then I'm like, how did we do that last year? Doing pretty much the same stuff. It seemed like we did some fun stuff too every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
No, I know, me either. So note to self, anyone else thinking about doing something on their own, it's definitely worth outsourcing the things that are taking away from like your creative energy. Right? Once
you get to the point that you can afford to do so.
Yeah.
That's probably going back to not being aggressive enough. We probably were at that point way before we made it happen. And I waited too long to feel comfortable enough to be like, okay, we can afford to have a warehouse doing this for us, just because I'm very conservative and was worried, what if even though it had been 5 years of being pretty consistent, what if this doesn't work out? I didn't want to commit to it, where someone more aggressive entrepreneurially would have done that probably years ago. But that's a great piece of advice, to try to get the stuff off your plate that's taking away from what you're good at.
Your passions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there were times last year where I was just feeling like I haven't sat and spoken to people in so long. I haven't written. I haven't done any of the things. I haven't gone to a book event. Like, it was getting to the point where we were like, we have all these books to give and don't have the time to give them.
Yeah.
So it was rough.
And I hadn't golfed.
And he hasn't golfed. He hadn't golfed. That's the important stuff. It's actually interesting that you say that, though, and you make a joke like that, because one of the other listener questions that we got more than once was, do your personal beliefs align with Kaitlin's? And I'd love to have you answer that.
Yeah, I think I don't think our relationship would really work if they didn't, I mean, both of our personal beliefs are really important to us. I think there's some relationships somehow where people can make it work because they're not that passionate about their personal beliefs. But you especially, and you've made me passionate about it too. I can't imagine not aligning with you on that.
Yeah, for sure. No, me either. And that actually kind of brings up my next question is, I get this all the time too. I didn't get it specifically when I was asking for the questions, but I can't tell you how many times I've gotten the question, how do you parent a child who is home with you? How do you have a strong relationship? And how do you work 24/7 with the same person? Like, how do we make that work?
Oh, like, because we're doing everything.
Yeah, everything together.
Yeah, that part is, I mean, for the most part, it's easy. But I think we both try to take our moments to make time for ourselves. I think I tried to do that a little more than you, maybe. I probably need it a little bit more. You're more of like an outgoing people person, obviously, as everyone listening to this already knows. I don't need to say that part, but not even that you are that, but I am more of the complete opposite of that. Like, I'm very much an introvert and like time by myself. So yeah, with us both working together from home and Kenzie being home, that can be hard for me sometimes, but so I just have to try to make those moments of playing golf and watching games and stuff.
I was gonna say, hence the golf.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would be remiss. Is that even correct? This is another thing. I always have to ask Kev, like, if I'm saying things correctly.
Yeah, like I'm an expert.
I mean, he's pretty intelligent. He's not giving himself enough credit.
You got it. It's just not, you don't need to add the ED. It's just remiss.
Ooh, okay, thank you. If I didn't ask this, when you say that your values align, and this is just like me speaking as a partner and a wife right now, is that I have been having almost like a little bit of a hard time being on vacation, and I've shared this with you somewhat, but just seeing how different another country can be, and then I'm having a little bit of almost anxiety going back to the States. And why do you think that not only our mission of putting inclusive books into the hands of kids is so important, but why do you think it's so important that as a small business we take such a stance on other social justice issues?
Because those are issues that we care about and that matter to us. I think whatever issue any business is, or any person that owns a business is important to them and they put it into their business, it's important to be, you can connect with your customers more if you are passionate one way or another on what it is you're speaking about and putting out there, and these are just the issues and things that are most important to us personally, so we put it out through our business just because that's like our method of putting it into the world.
Build more of a community. Yeah, for sure. Why is it so important to you though as a human?
Because I care about all people. Want there to be a safer world for our daughter and a better world for our daughter, and want her to be a great person to others and more accepting of others and welcoming of others, all of that stuff.
But you do realize that it's like somewhat, it shouldn't be, but like it's somewhat of an anomaly, correct? Like you're a white, straight, middle class male living in America.
Yeah.
Is that ever, I don't want to say challenging, because like that in and of itself, like you're loaded with a shit ton of privilege, right? It sounds ridiculous.
It's really hard on me.
It sounds ridiculous to say that. But I just mean, is it ever like, I guess I want this to be heard to other people as like a message of you should be speaking up for things that you're passionate about too, to the other people listening to this, or to the women listening to this who want to play it for their husbands who may not have the same exact ideas as you do. Like, what could you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to be like passionate and out there and speaking out. Like, I don't even have social media to be speaking out on. Like, from our family, like, you're that person. But for me, like, my method of doing that is just through the work that we do with Kind Cotton. So, like, whatever platform any person has, if they're a white, straight male, if they're active on social media, like, that would be a great place to speak out and put your beliefs out there, and hopefully feel like you can say whatever you want, even though you're a white, straight male, and you can...
Well, you can say whatever you want. But no, I know what you mean. Like, it really making your values heard and shared.
Right.
Yeah.
You know how to eloquently say that better than I do.
Yeah, I didn't know how to say remiss. So it's totally fine. I think you're alluding to the fact that now is not a time to remain silent, and whatever it is that you are passionate about. Obviously, you mentioned our daughter Kenzie being able to grow up in a safer future. You mentioned like wanting her to be someone who will advocate for others.
Right.
You mentioned just, I mean, overall, I think making the world a more inclusive place. And I think it's about damn time that more men such as yourself speak to their families, speak to their friends.
Yeah, and it's probably likely that a lot of guys like me aren't active on social media, so that's probably not even like a place that a guy like me would typically do that sort of thing, but like go to events like we do. Like I go to events with you. What do you think? How could I take a more active role in speaking out?
It's actually a really good question. I mean, it's something that I think we've talked about a lot. I think we're living in a time where, I mean, you know this because it's what we write about on Kind Cotton. It's what we do with the organizations that we volunteer for. It's the voices that we share through our website. I mean, we're doing all of the things, right? Yeah. It's more of taking away that performative act of just resharing something on social media and not taking away from what you said before. Like, if you do have a large platform, you should be talking about these things. Even if you have a small platform, you should be talking about these things because it is an entryway point of discussion. However, it's going from that and then doing more, which you do. I think what's hard for you and hard for a lot of people is that discomfort piece. And now is not a time for our discomfort to get in the way of advocacy, because our discomfort in the grand scheme of things means nothing when horrific things are happening in our country.
Right. I'm happy to get on Kind Cotton social media more, make more of an appearance.
There you go. Talk to the people. Bring the men in. We need that. Seriously.
All right.
I think it's important. I think it's also interesting potentially for people to just see some behind the scenes.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm happy to hear from the people listening, but I think that would be really cool to show people more of like the day-to-day, what's going on in our heads, what we're working on. Even from my perspective, I mean, they get your perspective probably all the time, but that would be a little more unique and different and maybe exciting for a couple people.
I mean, I think that's a good shift. Like, what would your typical day-to-day look like? What is it that you do? The man who's never, who never shows his face. What do you do?
So a lot of it is just like daily upkeep, customer service type emails, order maintenance, working with our warehouse. There's every day it's hard to like categorize it, but there's always some sort of issues or mistakes or something being out of stock that's not out of stock, or who knows, inventory problems. There's just always things that arise that need to be taken care of. So the daily like order upkeep, I guess, is a lot of it. And then ads, social media advertising, I spend a ton of time because we're spending a lot of money there. That's how we're gaining a lot of our customers. So creating new ads, seeing what ads are working and what's not working, constantly testing and retesting things. That's probably the rest of the bulk of my time, I guess.
Well, and also you do all of the website stuff. You design 90% of
Our clothes,
all of our things that we put out. You come up with a lot of the ideas
Yeah.
for the things that we put out.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of things I do every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Like these are
True.
These are like everyday things. Those other things you mentioned are once in a while things.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it would be most intriguing for people to kind of like sit in on one of our brainstorming sessions because
Yeah.
that's always,
We try to have a meeting once a week.
yeah. My friends laugh at that. Like they're like, "What do you mean you're having a kind meeting? Like just you and Kev?" I'm like, "It's so important."
It's important because you think you can just talk about it any time, and we're like in the car, and Kenzie's in the back talking to us, and if I have ideas that I need to talk to you about that I don't even want to bring up because it's like it's not the time. Like you can think about it for 1 second, and you're trying to post something on that social media.
Yeah,
like,
doing all the things.
It's so challenging. Sometimes there's things I want to ask you, con related, that I will think about for like 2-3 days before asking you because I just don't have like the right opportunities. So yeah, having the weekly meeting is huge, and we slack on it though. We need to do it when things are rolling and things are good. We're having those meetings consistently, and they're very productive. Usually when I have a glass of wine, they're even more productive.
Which he did not have tonight.
Yeah, so if this podcast stinks, that's the reason. And next time I will have one.
Just blame that.
Yeah.
Although we both have pretty much given up alcohol.
Yeah.
I have fully. You have
Cut down.
tremendously.
Yeah.
Not to say that, you're ever drinking an immense amount, but
No.
you'd have a glass of wine here or there often, and now it's like pretty rare.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Once a week.
If that.
Not even.
If that. Do you feel better?
I don't think I notice much of a difference, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Do you?
100%.
Why? Health-wise?
Mental health-wise.
Just because you feel like you don't need to do it and you have like a better control over yourself or something?
No, I think there's, if you look it up, there's definite links to anxiety and alcohol
so you
consumption.
think,
I think that could have heightened my anxiety a little bit, particularly during the start of the pandemic, for sure. When my anxiety was really high.
Yeah.
I feel better health-wise, too. You could drink and, like, not be sick. I could drink and have a migraine.
Yeah.
Like, have a glass of wine and have a migraine.
Yeah, that's rough.
So, yeah, no, overall I just feel a lot better.
Yeah, when I remember, how long did I go? Like 2 months?
I think at least.
Yeah.
At least.
And I expected to feel much different. Sorry, the door is opening.
And Kev is deathly afraid of ghosts.
There could be
Side note.
a ghost in our Airbnb. I expected to feel much different than I did, but I didn't really feel any difference at all. That was interesting to me, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. So those of you out there
But it was nice
contemplating-
to not do it for that long, to just show myself that I didn't, like in social situations and stuff, I didn't have to have a drink.
You could still be fun.
Yeah, that part of it was the best for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fun is a relative term.
You can still be interesting. Yeah, no, I know. That is the interesting piece of it, because we, at least us, have lived our social lives going to breweries or going out to eat with friends and grabbing a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big shift.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
What else you got?
Oh, so there was other questions.
Jeez.
One, I don't know if this was children's book and or adult book. So I'm going to let you choose which one. But what is your favorite book? It's kind of we have to talk about books, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. There's so many adult books. I haven't been reading like I was, but I was reading some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that book that probably shaped me like in my prime of reading and got me into reading like I was and kind of getting big in like improving my life physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that, was probably the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Children's book, oh man, I don't know.
Well, you read them to Kenzie all the time, and you have some that you really love.
That is true. Oh, I do. What do I say I always love? I love The Search for Syrup.
Shout out Tori Deal.
By Tori, yeah.
And Vera.
Yes.
Amazing.
What are the other ones, though? There's like...
You love Queen of Kindergarten.
Yeah,
like, you're always like, MJ, go to school.
Yeah. Definitely Queen of Kindergarten. There's like 2 more. Every time I read, I'm like, oh, that book is really good.
Like, can we read that one, Kenzie?
Yeah.
I Am Enough? I feel like you like
That's
that
good.
one.
Yeah. That wasn't the one I was thinking of, but that is good. I'm going to have to think of them.
Yeah.
Get back to you.
We'll do a round 2 when I actually prep you. Kev knew none of these questions, by the way. So.
Yeah.
This is basically just like a conversation we would be having.
Better. It's more organic that way. I don't want to think about the questions.
Yeah, I know.
Have a prepared answer.
Prep, I know.
I would be so bad at like trying to make it come off like it's unrehearsed.
I helped Kev prep for many interview situations.
And presentations.
Yeah, for sure. So, before we go into the question that I ask everyone, I want to do...
I did know this question was coming.
Yeah, but I'm not asking it
Okay,
yet.
all right, sorry.
I was
excited for my prepared answer.
There you go. A little... Do you want to give it now?
No, it's all right.
Okay. I want to do a little exercise in kindness in relationships. And I want to know what's one of your favorite qualities of mine.
Ooh. Your passion in all areas. Your work, your personal life. Kenzie, loving your family, friends. I don't know how you can commit yourself like 100% in all those areas.
Well, you know how. You're the one who has to like hold me at night crying when I overcommit myself. And I'd say like that's what I love about you is your gentleness and your open heart and your wanting to, even to a fault, make everyone happy. And I think that's why things work so well between us and work so well with Kind Cotton, because there is just so much love there.
Yep.
Between the two of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Emotional. So here it is, your prepared question.
All right.
What does kindness mean to you?
I actually didn't even think about it until today.
Really?
Yeah, which is crazy. I've never, this is the 20th episode, so I've heard 19, this isn't even the 20th episode. Could be the 20th. I don't know if it's going to be the 20th. Anyway, I've heard a lot of people say what kindness is to them, and I've never even thought about it for myself, which is crazy.
That's strange.
Yeah, but today I was thinking about it, and I think I'd say kindness is empathy in action.
Oh, I love that.
Really?
I do. Yes,
right.
Of course. Because you can be empathetic, but then taking that empathy and...
doing something about it, yeah. Because I like the action that you always talk about, rooted in justice, grounded in action. But I also, like, when thinking about the kindnesses shirt and design, I was thinking about those words, and, like, empathy is my favorite of those, and I think is the best in terms of true kindness. But like you said, yeah, it's like actually doing something about it. It's one thing to just feel, be able to feel something or see something from someone else's perspective, but then doing something to like help that or change that is important, and is true kindness to me.
Yeah, it's powerful. Empathy in action. Put it on a tee.
Ooh, I like it. I'll tell our shirt designer.
Kev is also the editor too, so that's why he has heard every one of the episodes. Editor of the podcast. You forgot to add that to your list of to-dos.
I mean, if we get that granular, we could add a lot.
Yeah, true, very true. That's not your everyday activity. But, well, thank you for having this conversation with me.
That's it? It's over already?
Yeah, I mean, this is
I think we have to find out if people like it, but I think we should do it every now and then. I can be the first recurring guest.
I love it.
Maybe.
I love it.
You never know. Someone might get on before me, but maybe I can come back on.
Yeah, I may have someone else back on before you. I don't know.
Maybe I'll be the second.
Just to grind your gears a little bit.
Yeah.
No, but truly, I think this is awesome. I think just even filming us chatting about things
would be cool.
Yeah.
Even if it's outside of the podcast, maybe it's something different. Maybe it's like a weekly thing on Instagram. No, sorry. I don't want to commit to a weekly. Maybe it's...
You know that my mind automatically went somewhere with that, right?
Maybe it's a monthly or quarterly thing.
Or else I'm going to be recording you all the time.
I can't commit to it.
Kev's going to be having sweaty palms. His palms are already sweating.
The podcast weekly is like Saturday, Sunday night. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, you have to do everything to get it prepared. I just get to have these fabulous conversations with you all. Similar to our dynamic with Kaitlin. I get to do all the fun stuff.
Well, you call it fun. I would never.
Yeah, you would. True. Okay, true.
This is like, even doing this is like tough for me.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
For being you.
I did like it. It was fun to do this.
Good.
We should do it again.
For sure. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Kindness Is podcast. If you love it and it's adding even a little bit of value to your life, we would love if you could subscribe, rate, and review so we can reach even more people and make this world a little bit more kind.